Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another session of Influencer Insights, where I have Krystern Amuge A from Uganda, South Africa, joining me tonight. She's from Uganda, but she's living in Vancouver as we speak now. So it's really great to have her. She's working on her professional counseling degree out there, and also pursuing modeling on the side. So she's very into the arts and talks a little bit about her music and acting and stuff in her background. So we're really glad to have Krystern coming on to share her story, talk to us about her journey from where she was raised to moving to Canada and learning about the challenges that come along with that. So welcome, Krystern.
Thank you so much for having me. And yeah,
Absolutely.
it was Uganda, East Africa. I just wanted to start with that.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good. Feel free to correct me because I do that often throughout these shows, but appreciate that. So tell us a little bit about yourself, more than elaborate on some of the things that I've done. How are you doing with school and modeling and all those kind of things?
I love it. I'm so excited. I'm just graduating from my professional counseling diploma at Rhodes Wellness College. I moved to Vancouver in late 2017. That was around like September, I would say.
Cool.
And up until that time, I only traditionally had an understanding of what mental health is and what that means and how it shows up in our lives.
Right.
And my journey, just understanding that, brought me to where I am today. I love art. I am a very expressive human being, both literally and also historically.
Sure.
Historically, I mean, so that I love to dance, I love to move. I
Nice.
love to act and express myself, so that's also fun stuff. But yeah, that's
Right
it
on.
in a nutshell.
Very cool. You mentioned to me a little bit before you jumped on, before you came to Canada, you took some modeling schooling and stuff like that. Would you tell us a little bit about that and how that went, or what got you into
Yes,
that?
so yeah, so after high school, during high school, my friends, I went to a Muslim um boarding conservative high school, I would say. And
Sure.
I had a lot of time, a good time there. But during that time, I was very into music, dance, and drama. And my friends usually told me that I used to walk around the campus and the dormitory like I was walking on a globe, and that I should try modeling or expressive arts. And I didn't think much to it until after we graduated high school, and I had like a mini midlife crisis. So I found myself in this institute that I ended up signing up for like an intense 8 month professional modeling course. And I
Cool.
learned a lot from that. And I didn't go on to pursue modeling after I graduated from that course. But when I moved to Canada, I started to pursue it slowly in like little aspects of my life. I started doing a little bit of like portfolio, like editorial here and like still editorial, and I started doing photo shoots. And then I got into runway and I started loving it. So I started doing more of it. But it's
Very
been a
cool.
good time.
Good. Yeah, that's awesome. Nice to see the expansion all the way along.
Mhm.
What like in the modeling school, for somebody that maybe hasn't gone or is thinking about it, what are some things that kind of jumped out to you that you learned real fast, or something you didn't know beforehand?
The how to seriously take modeling or the arts, because art is a very self-educated and passion-led field that most people think they don't need training. It's like, oh,
Right.
it's something I wake up and I'm like, oh, I wake up and I feel like I can sing because I have a great voice and
Right.
I should sing. Or I wake up and I feel like I can act because I can emute or imitate a lot of characters. And I feel like people tell me I should do it, which I followed to in the beginning. But there's more to that. And I feel like me going to some people and listening to other opinions that are outside of myself. These are people that have gone through the field for like 25 years and like they have experience, they have stories to give, like gave me the ability to learn extensively this art, which allowed me to enjoy it later on. Because
Right.
now when I go to model, I do it professionally. And because of that, I enjoy it. And because of that, I don't take it for granted, even though I have bad days and good days, like anywhere else at any job. You can have good days and bad days.
Absolutely.
So that is my biggest takeaway, or was my biggest takeaway from
Cool.
modeling school.
So you're kind of saying that the more effort and the work you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it, because the more serious you take it all the way along, right?
Yeah, like take time to pause and find the intention of it all. Like, why do you like it? Like, find the why. And it
Yeah.
sounds cliche these days to ask people to find the why of doing things because we are so stuck in the like, just do it, be spontaneous, do it.
Yeah.
But the why is important. It's here for a reason because
Yes.
it keeps you going.
Right. Yeah. Every day you need a reason, right? So
Yeah.
cool. What are some kind of cool shoots that you've gotten to do, or some cool runway walks that you've gotten to do that, not everybody gets to, I guess, or
Oh, I feel like everything I've done has been pretty humbling. I did Bride Fashion Week lately, which
cool.
was fun. But when I just moved out to Canada, which was in 2017, but in 2018, I was walking around the West End of
Mm-hmm.
downtown Vancouver, and I saw a film set. And I had never seen a film set in my life before for some reason, which was weird. But I got so stunned that I
Nice.
asked one of the guys that usually stand around film sets when they're being done in public spaces. And I was like, what is this? And we're like, it's a film set. I'm like, how do I get into it? They're like, oh, just go get an agent and sign up. And I did it when I was standing right there with them. I found an agent
Wow.
online. I signed up. I was like, I did not know I could do this. But that anyway, later on led to me meeting Jason Momoa
Really?
in a very interesting way. But the way I met him, I embarrassed myself so much, but it was so interesting because it was like our what is it? A fairy tale Cinderella like kind of fantasy moment for me, but it was so stupid and
What
naive.
happened?
But all I just so I got booked for a background because I said that by doing background. I just wanted to enter into the film industry in any way possible. And they were like, the easiest way to do it is to just sign up for background because they need everyone. You don't need a lot of experience. And I didn't have any experience whatsoever. I had never been to a film set. I had never gone to an acting school or class. So
Sure.
background was easy. And then they get us to do background for this upcoming show that was supposed to be on Apple. It is on Apple right now. It's called C, and it stars Jason Momoa, and I was supposed to
Nice.
be on background on that. But we started doing training, and one day we go to Whistler, which is where we're filming it. And our call times were so early, it was 3:30 a.m. in the morning that I didn't sleep until 3:30, until my call time. So I only slept on the shuttle on
Oh
my
no.
drive up to Whistler. So when
Oh
I
no.
got there, I was sleeping in the bus. And when I woke up, it was Jason Momoa was walking down on our shuttle. And I was like, is that a dream? Did I go to bed and wake up? And I mean, like, so I'm like, a world where Jason Momoa is, because I shouted and I screamed and I thought that I was in a dream or like in a lucid dream, and then everyone calmed me down. And then everyone knew that I was obviously new to North America because I freaked out when I saw Jason Momoa. Yet everyone was so normal about it. So yeah, it was a fun moment.
Cool. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing how some of that stuff just sticks in the mind and kind of motivates you to keep going too sometimes, right? Whatever it is, the excitement there. So
Yeah, it's funny and naive, but it excites me. It's
very
yeah,
much. Very cool.
yeah,
No, that's really awesome.
yeah.
What, like when you got to Canada, and so you started, did you land in Calgary first and then go to Vancouver, or was it,
Okay, no, so I landed in Toronto first. I came from
of
Uganda,
course?
flew to Brussels, took a layover, then came to Toronto, stayed in Toronto for 2 weeks, and that was in summer. And then I flew to Vancouver. Why I flew to Vancouver was because I Googled. I just went on Google and I was like, what is the warmest city to live in when you're coming from a tropical country
Yeah, no
in
kidding.
Canada? And they were like Vancouver. And I was like,
Yeah,
that's where I'm going.
yeah. I
So
don't
I
want to be
left
anywhere
Toronto.
else.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to, because I was coming from a tropical rainforest. I only knew one season the whole year. So
Right.
I needed something that is not less harsh for me to transition into and gradually learn and evolve into the climate. So
Yeah,
that's how I came to
absolutely.
Vancouver. And then I liked it here. And then I stayed. But then I left briefly to go to Calgary. And then I came back. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Was Calgary too cold, or was it?
Yeah. A few things. It was I'm a city girl. I grew up in a very busy, even in Uganda, where
Mm,
I grew up in the capital city of Uganda. It was the first city. So I grew up in a very busy, fast world. Like Kampala
right.
is like the New York of the USA. And
Okay.
going to Calgary is kind of slow a little bit. It's like a nice, stable based city. It's not as fast. So I missed the rush, if I might, if I might say, for lack of a better word. I missed the rush. And I just found it too small for me of a city. But there were certain good aspects of it, like the sun. It was very
Hmm.
sunny. It was beautiful. The nature and the quietness and the cleanliness. It's very clean. It's a very clean city. So
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, if you like quiet and serene scenery, you should come to Saskatchewan in the summertime because we have a lot of that. So
I've
it's
had, so
slower
I've
than
had.
Calgary. So
Yeah, I've had that too. That's why I'm not there yet.
yeah, no, fair enough. That's cool. Right
Yeah.
on. Well, that's good. Glad you're in Vancouver and you're finding home there because that's a nice city there too. So
Yeah.
have you been able to connect and like do some like TFP shoots and that kind of stuff to build your portfolio or smaller acting gigs and stuff like that in Vancouver when you're out there, or how's that gone to build
Oh yeah,
yourself?
I have. I've done a lot of exciting things. I've partnered up with so many local photographers. I've done a lot of runways. I've run Vancouver International Fair, uh, something fair. I've done fashion shoot. I've done African fashion arts movement fashion show. So I've had the pleasure of doing a lot of collaboration with a
Nice,
lot of artists in the
nice.
in Lower Mainland Vancouver,
Yeah,
and I continue to do that. And my agent also gets me some good gigs. Like I've worked with big industries like what Volkswagen. I did a commercial for Volkswagen.
wow,
That
right
was
on.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a dream come true. I was like, wow, this I never thought little
big brand.
Krystern in Uganda
Yeah, yeah,
would ever
absolutely.
do that. Exactly. Yeah, that's been
Very
fun.
cool. Well, those kind of things are, yeah, they just keep propelling you forward. So,
Yeah, they just get
uh,
you to dream and they get you to like think and imagine the impossible, which is nice for your mind, I guess, and your spirit.
yes, yes, absolutely.
Hmm.
What's what's some of the favorite things about the arts? Like, what inspires you to kind of keep diving into that, and what do you just keep coming back to?
At Self-expression sets me free.
Sure.
It's the only time I can fully tap in my fully authentic self, and it's the only time I can fully express myself, which I
Nice.
feel is a fundamental, basic need for living. Is if
Hmm.
we're able to express ourselves, we are able to validate ourselves in this physical existence. We're like, oh, I can do this, so I'm here. Oh, I can stand up for myself, so I'm here. Oh, I can speak and someone can hear me, so I'm here in this physical life right now.
Right.
Because we do need that. We need external validation to remind us that we are still in this physical world. Because the only time that happens is when we leave the physical world and we join the spiritual world, is when we die and we
Hmm.
become spirits or move on. Then people in the physical world can't see you.
Right.
And so it's good to feel it validated. And that's just me going to a little bit of my folk and
That's
traditional
cool.
because I grew up like I call myself a witch, but I grew up a traditional person and I learned from my ancestors a lot and stuff.
Okay.
But I like to speak in that way. But yeah, that's a little bit of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's more to the world that's going on than what we can physically see, right?
Yeah. And I
Absolutely.
love thinking of the world like that. It makes me feed into my need of connection, which is a fundamental right. Makes us feel like we are all connected and we're here, and it's
Do you think
beautiful.
that our lives are a bit of a metaphor for something bigger, and that what we do with them now matters after?
I think everything matters. I think thinking that our life could end today and it doesn't mean anything matters. And I think it also matters to think that our life is part of something bigger. I think
Mm,
both of the thoughts serve a purpose. Like
yes.
the first one, I believe serves the purpose of making us think that yes, it can end right now, so don't take it for granted. Be self-responsible, be safe. Whereas the other one controls our ego, I would say, or the part of ourselves that could, I don't know what other words to use, but the part of ourselves that always takes us out of us. So they both serve a purpose. And I like listening to both, and I usually consider both when I'm
Hmm.
stepping into life decisions. I'm like, which part of me wants to be selfish and which part of me wants to give, because they both matter. Like, I still want to be selfish because it's part
Right.
of my life, but I
Right.
also still want to give.
It's a balancing game of filling your cup up and making sure to share it with others too, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You gotta do both, and you're responsible for both, and no one else. You are
Right.
responsible for giving both to yourself. No one can do that for you.
That's right. Absolutely. Our
Yeah.
decisions dictate a lot of the things we do. So
Yeah, they do. It's hard.
yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's well said.
very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you noticed, and something we like to talk about when we're talking with models that have done a lot of work and building their portfolio, like, do you have any like safety tips and things that you would be cautious of when people are getting into the industry or deciding to, testing out this modeling thing, if they want to do that or not? What have you found has been some good ways of staying safe out there?
Staying safe, be intentional, advocate for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and become very clear and identify your boundaries from the beginning.
Mm.
Because, like all the other career fields and professions, the
Yes.
modeling and arts world is not a safe world. So
Right.
there are so many people that are going to take advantage of you. Um, People like there's a lot of inconsistency and miscommunication. So be intentional and don't be afraid to stand up for yourself and listen to yourself, listen to your energy. When your intuition makes you feel like something is wrong, listen to that and
Mm.
consider it. Don't consider it in a way that will self-sabotage you. Maybe you're responding to a trauma response and you just need to tell yourself that, no, I'm okay, I'm safe. But listen to it in a way that if it persists, if it's like, no, this is not safe, this is taking advantage of you, like this is going beyond what you feel like, a boundary has been crossed here, stand up for yourself,
Right.
listen to that and
Right.
respond to that, because that is a very important part of you and
Yeah.
it's only there to keep you safe. So that's
Yeah.
what I've learned
Cool.
so far on my
Very cool.
journey.
No, that's
Yeah.
good. I think there's a lot of different things that through people's experiences that they've learned, and a key piece is just sharing what you've been through so that we can all kind of build all this together, right? So, and
Yeah.
knowledge is power that way, right? So,
Yeah, it does help. Knowledge, it is power in that way. Yeah, you're right.
sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're going to move a little bit, kind of a touch away from some of the modeling stuff. I know you mentioned a little bit of developing mental health, and I'm sure moving across the world has got some impact on those kind of things. So, and with your counseling diploma as well, I think that's a huge piece there as well. So, what are some things that kind of on your heart about mental health and helping people, shift when they're going through those kind of things?
Oh, mental health. So, the things that come to mind when you pose it in that way is self-advocacy,
Mm,
uh, education, awareness, and just advocacy in large, but awareness.
right.
Mental health is something that is not taken into consideration on all the levels of the world right now. And it's sad because even in the spaces or in the parts of the world or the globe where you think it's being considered, it's still being considered on a very minuscule level.
Yeah.
Like we are still new in discovering what our mental being is and the understanding of that and the understanding of our minds and
Mm,
psychology and what that plays in our lives.
yeah.
But it's a very, very integrate part of who we are and how we function as human beings. To my understanding, with my background in psychology and counseling psychology, is that like understanding our mental health and our behavior worlds of and living is very integral. Like if we can capture that, we have the ability to step in with awareness. And awareness is a very is an intricate tool or to have when you're walking through life, to be aware of something, because when you're aware of something you can identify it. If you
Mm,
can identify it, you can name it. If you can name it, you can witness it. And if you can witness it, you can move it and evolve it in the way that it needs, be it trauma, be it your life experience, be it happiness, be it change, be it death, be it loss, be it just the experience of life in general. So yeah, that is my understanding of that.
sure. What on a level have you found for yourself? Developing awareness, I think, is really key for anybody. If you don't know you've got it, or you're going through it and you can't see it, that's really a huge piece there. But for yourself, did you ever notice that some things were taking you in a certain direction? You're like, this is kind of affecting, it's playing with the mind a little bit and that sort of thing. What are some experiences yourself you've seen, or maybe with people you know?
Cognitive distortion. So I grew up in Uganda, a dictatorship country. My
Sure.
I've only known one president my whole life, so that
Okay.
would tell you a little bit about democracy. And that means I grew up in a very oppressed, suppressed environment in a
Right.
weird way. So that helped, but my coping mechanism I learned around that was dissociation, and I could go into a world of imagination because I had the gift of, or not the gift, but the ability to step into my imagination and
Mm.
create scenarios. And then I would create scenarios, but later on that turns into cognitive distortions, which affects the way I connect with people. So I make up like these little stories in my head, and sometimes it's not true, which affects the way I show up at work
Nice.
or with friends.
Right.
And that has been a very big challenge for me. And it's been the biggest challenge that I've incurred with just having uh, understood or developed mentally like that. So yeah.
Yeah. It can play surprising how mind takes us to places that really don't exist, right? But
Yeah. Well, it does it to save us or to it's a
right.
survival instinct, but it's still, yeah, the side effects can be cruel sometimes.
Detrimental, absolutely. No.
Yeah.
What do you do to combat some of that negativity that comes into your life? What are some exercises and some things that you would, recommend to other people to use to get themselves away from those negative mindsets and those self-defeating self-talk and stuff?
I lean in and I sing and I dance and I twerk my ass off. I say that in every literal sense of it all. I'm a
Just give her, eh?
self-proclaimed, yeah, I am a self-proclaimed twerk queen.
Nice.
So I have not met an adversity that I have not danced myself out of. So not just twerking, but dancing, right? I move my body. I
Mm,
believe we are all energy. And that's where my understanding, my core belief of we are connected and blah, blah, blah. The earth
yes.
is one. We are all,
Yep.
that's where all that crap comes from. Right? It
Yeah.
comes from me dancing. Because when I dance, I can connect with people. And one of my love languages is body connection, so physical touch. So I love dancing and energy that way. Dancing has helped me, singing, using my voice, standing up for my boundaries. I am a bitch that speaks my mind at
Mm,
every given moment. And that has caused me so much trouble, but it has allowed me to stick up for my boundaries.
right.
And that's something that has saved me so many times. Because if I didn't do that, I would not have been here. I grew up in very toxic, violent civil wars. I
Okay.
grew up with a dictator. I grew up below the poverty line. So it's only like it's hard to just grow up in a dictatorship, but growing up below poverty lines, that means you're the most vulnerable of the
Yes.
financial economic bracket.
Yeah.
So you do um, see life differently, but it's taught me so much and I'm grateful for my story. But
Sure.
it's also put me on a high alert that I don't like sometimes because I overwatch my back and sometimes it's unnecessary.
Right. Overdo it.
Yeah, overdo
What,
it.
if you don't mind me asking, growing up below the poverty line in Uganda, what what took you to the place that you realized you wanted to get out and that you wanted to start a different life in Canada and that sort of thing?
Well, I am a very proud queer human being. I just got engaged to my lovely wife last December.
Oh,
That is why I'm in Canada. I
nice.
love my country and I miss it so much. But I left in 2017 because it was very unsafe. In 2014, they had passed the bill, that the anti-gay bill,
Mm,
anti-LGBTQ queer spirited bill, where you're sentenced to death or 20 years in prison. And
right.
they just revised that bill 5 days ago and they passed it and they signed it again.
Well,
And it's the most aggressive anti queer bill that
mm,
is in the world right now. And Uganda is a conservative Christian country in that way. So it hurts my heart because I grew up there. That's my motherland. That's everything I've ever known for the
right.
last 22 years of my life and until I moved to Canada was in there. So to think that I
Give that
can be
up.
prosecuted being there right now is
Right. Heartbreaking.
painful, and heartbreaking. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah.
No, those are tough challenges. What made Canada the place to go?
The immigration policies are the best. Canada holds one of the best immigration policies in the country, in the
In the
globe,
world. Yeah,
in the world. Yeah,
sure.
it
Yeah.
holds one of them. So when I Googled that, the UK Canada came up, and surprisingly, I knew most things about UK and USA, but I didn't know so much about Canada.
Sure.
So it's interesting that I even ended up here because I thought I would end up in the US, but
Right.
here I am, and I've loved every bit of it since I've been here.
So glad. Well, and welcome. You're make it home
Thank
because it's a
you.
great place to live. So cool.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. What are some big dreams, I guess, for Krystern in the next couple of years? Like, where do you finishing your diploma? Do you want to take more schooling, or do you want to build your business as a counselor, or what's the dream?
Well, I am an aspiring rap artist, an actress, and
Cool.
a therapist. So my next, and also I want to have a family, like a big family. I'm such a family person. I grew
Nice.
up in a community. If I had it my way, I could have like 10 kids, but I'm only gonna have four.
Settle for
But
four, eh?
yeah, I'm an overachiever in that way too. So my dreams are a little bit unrealistic. So I'll keep it small and minimal. But
Dream
in a
big.
nutshell, yeah, in a
You're in Canada
nutshell, I
now.
just wanna storytell because I love storytelling. I do it through singing, through dancing,
Nice.
through rapping. So I want to storytell. I want to support human beings and commit acts of services because that's my love language. I want to have a family because that is also something I've dreamt of since my whole life. And
Sure.
that's what I want to see in the next 10 years. But they say God loves when we make plans. So
I don't know. Uh, Anything that I've set on a goal board, I've pretty well named to achieve myself. So,
that
and I
is
didn't
true.
think big enough sometimes. So don't limit yourself. There's lots of opportunity for you. So
Thank you.
absolutely. What about the next? Let's pick 3 to 6 months. Do you have some shows or things that you're nailing in towards the summertime when it's finally warm outside? That kind of thing here.
Yes, I'm excited about my workshops. So my company that I run with my partner is called Empowered Living. It's a
Cool.
counseling and coaching private practice, and we are starting our workshops with which are like a creative processing space where we bring communities together to processively support each other and create and grow. So I'm excited about that because I want to see what it turns into in the next 6 months. We are
Yeah.
starting it in 2 weeks from now. And I have the Vancouver Fashion Show coming up. I'm excited about that. But I'm also going to start recording in studio for the first time. And I'm excited about that. So
Cool.
that's what I would like to see what the next 6 months bring in those regards,
Very
in
cool.
those
So you got
three things.
workshops. Are those in person or online or a combination or?
They're in person. They're going to be in the Beaumont Studios, downtown Vancouver. If
Right on.
anyone is there, every Saturday at 1:15 p.m. to their 90-minute workshops. It's a creative space. We're going to be using integrative therapeutic models. So to support each other, to creatively process, to emotionally process,
Nice.
to understand self-advocacy. And I'm excited to see what it's going to turn into because we have our own vision, but we
Mm,
also want to see what it could turn into on its own. So we're
cool.
not going to put a lot of structure to it so we can see what people can bring in and what people can influence of it.
Yes.
So we're excited for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Cool. That'll be exciting to watch and to hear about down the road as you guys pursue that. Vancouver Chef Fashion Show Week. When is that?
For April 14th. So it's
Okay, that's coming quick.
yeah, it's coming up, and it's the last fashion show I'll be working this year. I think I've only committed to three. I've
Yep.
worked two so far, and this is the coming up one. And I've not done Vancouver Fashion Week before, so I'm excited to see
Cool.
how this one goes. Yeah,
New show, different people, new faces. That'll be exciting. So
exactly. Yeah, it's always exciting. I'm
cool.
always beamed with curiosity.
And how many tracks for your album do you have? Are you ready to record?
None. It's the
None.
first time. I
Cool.
used to write music slowly, went back home before I
Okay.
traveled,
Nice.
but this is the first time. I always just used to help people perfect their rap uh, craft because I grew up doing rap battles. But I
Mm-hmm.
was I was I was a young kid. Like we just used to do it with our friends and stuff because we grew up in a community. But this is the first time I'm doing it in studio and
Okay.
listening to my own voice. Like I'm even going to just start creating my own best voice. So it's
Nice.
exciting but scary.
Yes. Lots of
Yeah.
development to go, I'm sure. So
Yeah.
very cool. Well, that's very exciting. How do people, if they want to follow you along or support you or hear about your workshops, Krystern, how do we get in touch with you?
So I have Instagram, which is my only social media page. I am not good with social media, so I only have Instagram. And that's
Instagram's
the
great.
only place. Or maybe on LinkedIn, you'll find me on LinkedIn. But
Okay.
Instagram, it's Krystern, Krystern, and then an under hyphen, and that's it. That you'll find me there.
Cool.
With on my Instagram page, there's my website where you find my professional work. I'm a professional counselor. I love working with youth, but I'm open to working with all ages. Right now, I'm just trained professionally to work with youth. Mm, Um, I'm trained in family counseling, CBT, DBT, narrative, somatics, family counseling. I mentioned that already. Addictions and loss, grief, and shame, among others. But yeah, that's it in a
Cool.
nutshell.
Very
I'm
cool.
nervous now, so I don't know if I said it all.
No, that's awesome. And I know there's somebody out there that's going to be interested in looking all that up from you too. So watch for the DMs to come, So
Okay.
what about thinking, I guess, if Krystern's DM box blew up overnight to 1,000 messages, or you got 1 million followers overnight, what would be something that you'd want to tell the world, just if you had anything to say to share to a lot of people real fast? What would that be?
Love yourself. And I
Mm,
want to say that in every sense. Every day you wake up, have the courage to love yourself in every aspect. Not every aspect of it all, but even on the hard days when it's very difficult, find a sliver
yeah,
of kindness to reflect back to yourself.
beautiful.
Because self-love is the only, I find, responsibility we have as human beings or as a species. Is if you understand yourself and you learn how to love yourself, you can pass on that to people. When you love yourself, you learn how to love other people. You learn how to pass on compassion and kindness to other people. In the
Mm,
world where we are at right now, we need a lot of kindness
we
and
do.
compassion. So love yourself, please. Find the courage. That's the advice or message I'd give if I had a chance.
Awesome. Well, keep sharing that one, and you're going to keep sharing it to a lot of people. It's a great thing
Mm,
to know, great thing to remember for people. So
thank you.
cool. Well, we just wanted to thank Krystern for jumping on tonight. She's got a busy schedule and a lot of things coming up, so we do appreciate you giving your time now and taking just a moment to share about things that are on your heart and where you're from and how that's all gone. And so we thank you for that. Welcome to Canada, and we look forward to hearing and seeing more of Krystern down the road here. So
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate you so much, Ben. This has been
absolutely,
wonderful.
you too.